Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Philly Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It's the Philly Show. It's Monday, June 30th, 2025. Guys, how are we doing?
Outstanding.
Oh,
great. Back home from a long road trip.
Yeah, long road trip, Ruben. You got to see a lot of ball. Not a lot of offense. You got to see a lot of ball, though.
Correct.
Phillies went 2-4 on the road trip. We talked late last week on Friday. They got swept in Houston. They scored 1 run in the entire series. But then they took 2 out of 3 in Atlanta. So kind of slowly turning the ship around. Although they only scored, 3 runs on Saturday and Sunday combined?
So on this trip, they had 2 zeros, 2 1s, and a 2. And then they had the outlier at 13.
But here's the thing. So a week ago today, the Phillies had a 1.5 lead over the Mets in the National League East. They go 2-4 in the road trip. Where do they stand today? 1.5 lead over the Mets in the National League East.
And the Mets
didn't lose any ground.
But the Mets, but they didn't, and they came back from 5 or 5.5 down earlier this month. But the Phillies are 13-13 in June. The Mets have lost 13 out of 16. If the Phillies just could be 4 or 5 games over 500 this month, 3 or 4, they could put some serious distance between them and the Mets. The Mets have been abysmal.
Yes.
I mean, their starting pitching is breaking and performing poorly. Their offense has been sporadic all season. They got swept in Pittsburgh over the weekend, outscored 30-4.
It could be worse. Right? I guess. Could be worse. But this is about the Phillies winning the World Series. So let's start with the first pitch by Parx Casino. First pitch is brought to us exclusively by our partners at Parx Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. So how do we feel about the Phillies, guys, right now? They're pitching their butts off in the rotation. Offense, you saw, Ruben, I'm sure you're watching the game on Friday, right? And you're saying, oh my God, here they go. Ruben put his pants on 7 different ways on Friday before the game. Clearly that thought popped in my head. Ruben put his socks on differently, Mr. Superstition. And
yes, I did.
Apparently you stopped doing it on Saturday and Sunday.
I changed everything. No, I mean, obviously I'm very superstitious, and I'm still a Phillies fan. I'm not a Phillies employee, as some folks think, but I am a Phillies fan, and I want them to do well. Obviously, it's a weird hitting lineup. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's just very strange. But I think back and I think about it. What happened last year, they get out to a great start, awesome offense, they crush, and then they fade at the end. Why not them be mediocre for a while and then get hot at the right time in September, October and win this thing? I mean, that's a possibility too. They have the talent to do it. I don't know if they have the consistency to do it, but they certainly have the talent to do it. And if they can somehow get hot at the right time, I don't know that any necessary moves that Dombrowski makes are going to totally change this team. I mean, because if you get one bat, is it really going to affect that much? It's really about Harper, Schwarber, Turner, Castellanos, Bohm, all those guys in the lineup. But if they don't swing it, they're screwed. If they do swing it, they're going to be fine. And I mean, that's it. That's the bottom line. And for all those fans out there that have great consternation about this team, they probably should have some, but they also have to, the team's going to have to rely on those guys to come through.
I totally agree with you. I think about this all the time. The one bat is going to mitigate some of their problems. If it's the right bat, if he's healthy, if he produces. The one bat is going to move the needle a little bit. Enough to help, but a little bit, depending on the bat you get and how he performs. We said this last year. If you're going to win it, you're going to win it with your big boys. Your big boys have to get you there. The guys that are making the big bucks, the guys that you targeted, 2, 3, 4 years ago, bringing them toward this point. All has to come together with the guys here. I will say this. I do think a bullpen addition can make a big difference, and I do think they will make one. But as far as the offense, this is what they have been now for a number of years. Pointed this out last week. They got no hit in the World Series game. They can absolutely disappear for days on end. They can light it up for days on end. We saw it the other night in, they hit 5 home runs on this trip. Oh, that's pretty good. They hit them all in one game, right? In the other games, they hit nothing. Right. So it's what they are. They're here one night, they're gone the next, and you just have to, I do expect them to play in October, and you have to hope that they're here, present, producing for as long as they last in the month of October.
So on Saturday, I was chatting with Al Morganti and Rob Ellis on WIP, and Al said, listen, Dave Dombrowski has to go back to being Dave Dombrowski, and he just has to empty the farm system and get that big bat and get that big arm. And the point I tried to make to Al, and I don't know how good I was at it, but the point I made to Al is, Al, who's out there who is supposedly out there and available on the offensive side, in the outfield side? Because that's probably where you would try to find some help that would make that much of a difference. So we talked about these names, a couple times last week. You've got Jarren Duran, Taylor Ward, Cedric Mullins, Luis Robert Jr., Adolis Garcia, even like a guy like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Byron Buxton would be a guy, that has, when he's healthy, he puts up huge numbers. But we talked about him a ton on Friday and how the guy's played, I think, more than like 92 games in a season just once since 2017. That was 102 games last year. So, who's the offensive fix? I don't know if
I'll tell you the offensive fix is, and he's put together some really good at-bats, is Otto Kemp. He's the type of hitter, honestly. I mean, he can't carry this team, but he's the type of hitter that they sort of are looking for. Someone who has quality at-bats, someone who stays in the strike zone, somebody who hits the ball all over the field. He's not a proven entity by any means. He's growing, and he might get beat up for a while. But that's the type of hitter that you're sort of looking for, somebody who can make contact at the right time and move the ball around the field and have an idea at the plate. I don't know whether they're going to be able to go get somebody like that. I mean, you're looking at an Alex Bregman. Good luck getting that guy and figuring out how to keep him or let him go or re-sign him and go through all that rigmarole. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's not all that realistic to find a guy. I mean, I mentioned last time I think we talked Tyler O'Neill, a guy like that, and he's hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But he also can impact the team from the right side with some power. I mean, is that a kind of a guy that, it all kind of depends on what their scouts think.
But he's got 2 more years, and he's owed an awful lot of money.
He's owed a whole ton of money, so someone's going to have to pay that back.
And I like him a lot.
I like the talent, but you're going to have to, like, if you send an Aiden Miller for this guy, you better get some money back, and you better hope that this son of a gun can rake and stay on the field.
Yeah.
And so, listen, there's so many risks to the guys that, people are tossing out there. I mean, people are talking about Luis Robert. Dude, guy stinks.
Yeah.
Dude's not good.
Yeah.
Listen, again, it's the guys who are in the lineup right now are going to have to figure it out somehow, some way. And I still think that there is, and I don't want to go on too much, but I still think that they're going through an adjustment period of in-between period of swing decisions and making sure they stay in the strike zone and driving the ball. And I think once that comes together, maybe in July or August or September, then these guys got a chance to take off as far as their power is concerned. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, if they're still getting caught in the middle, you can't be deciding. Hitting is reacting. See the pitch, drive the pitch if it's a good one. They gave Strider had some easy innings on Sunday, a couple 7-pitch innings. They were hacking it for stuff, but I understand he's in the zone with the fastball. Maybe you take a couple hacks at it.
In the beginning of the game, they had a great plan, and they just could not put the swing on it on the fastball that they got to hit that they needed to put on the fastball. I mean, they had chances. JT had a chance to do some damage. They had, runners in scoring position. They just could not get it done. And it just takes one swing for guys to just kind of blow it open. It took a walk from JT to blow things open on the first night. So,
yeah.
A hat tip
that's the kind of stuff that's the stuff that it's just one barrel ball that can open things up.
And a hat tip to Brandon Marsh. He put down a very nice sacrifice bunt on Sunday, and key word being sacrifice. He didn't try to beat it out. He didn't try to run out of the box. He got the bunt down. They moved the runner. They got the runner in against a good pitcher when one run can really make a difference. Thought that was a hell of an inning. Otto Kemp has a big hit, bunt, fly ball, a 2-run inning. The way Ranger was pitching, make it all stand up. So, hey, that was First Pitch, presented exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino, parkscasino.com. You must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Phillies fans, whether you're sliding into home or just chasing your kids around the yard, staying mobile matters. That's why we trust Rothman Orthopedics. From sports injuries to joint replacements, they keep you moving with top specialists who care for the best team and the best fans in baseball. Rothman's got your back because at Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility is their mission. Visit rothmanortho.com to schedule today. I could use some help.
We all could use some help. I got some lower back issues going on right now.
We're at this little swim club right around the corner from our house, and I was trying to throw my son, my 9-year-old, and he's like, throw me in the pool. I'm like, every time I threw, I was like, I could feel the oblique slowly starting to rip away from my rib cage. And I had to stop. I was like, all right, we're done. He's like, we're done. I'm like, we're done. So guys, we have limitations, as you get older, you get colder. You absolutely do. So guys, it's Monday and it is time for Manco Best Week. Manco Best Week, because Manco is the best of the best. It's where we pick our best Phillies player, performance, play of the past week. It can be anything we want it to be. But I feel like this week there's like one guy maybe that stands out above the rest, and that is the guy that pitched yesterday, Ranger Suárez. The guy.
I don't think there's any question.
Yeah,
Ranger Suárez is the man. He's the man.
Yeah, he is the man. 2 starts this past week, 1.23 ERA, 14 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 15 strikeouts. The only 2 runs he allowed were solo home runs. But man, this guy is on a roll. 1.19 ERA in his last 10 starts. My colleague at MLB.com, Paul Castellanos, said that it is the lowest ERA by any Phillies pitcher over a 10-start stretch since Cliff Lee in 2011. Since the mound was lowered in 1969, the only other Phillies with a sub 1.20 ERA in a 10-start stretch in a season: Roy Oswalt, 2010, Steve Carlton, 1972.
So Lee and Oswald, huh?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I know he didn't have the velo yesterday, but we've talked about this many times over the life of our podcast, how much he does remind us of Cliff Lee when he's on. Great location, cutter in on righties, change up away, works fast, nothing phases him, soft contact. Yesterday in Atlanta, Sunday in Atlanta, the average exit velocity against him was 76 miles an hour.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was just fantastic. The thing that I love about him is it's like he's literally playing catch out there. He's playing catch with the catcher. He is a left-handed Livan Hernandez. Anybody remember that name?
Oh, yeah.
Livan just went up there and and at the end of his career, he's a little bit like the other Dominican guy from the New York Mets, Bartolo Colon. Like Bartolo Colon just up there flipping it up there, man. Now, Bartolo Colon, when he was younger, could blow some gas. But then, he's had to make some adjustments over time. And And it was just literally like going up there and playing catch, man. And it was just a joy to watch him. There is some concern about the velocity, especially early in the game. He was 88, 89. But, a little bit like Jamie Moyer, he's still jamming guys. I mean, he was like paint, and then jamming a guy with a little cutter. And they were just not getting the barrel to the ball because they couldn't see what was coming out of his hand. And the location was impeccable. I mean, it's just fun to watch him work. And, people keep talking about the same thing. Well, you got to sign him. No, you don't. You have to wait and see if he stays healthy and see if he gets through the season.
All that matters right now, just
stay healthy.
Is winning the World Series.
That's correct.
Giving your best effort at winning this year's World Series and let everything happen after that.
There's no reason to rush there's no reason to rush to sign him. If they get a chance to sign a guy like Schwarber, great. But there's no rush to sign a guy like that because he's got the history of, not getting through, the season healthy.
What if he finishes the season healthy? What do you think he could get on, let's assume he doesn't maintain this insane pace, 10-start pace he's on, but say he finishes the season healthy.
Well, if he finishes healthy and keeps this run up, he's going to wedge his way into the Cy Young discussion with Skeens and Wheeler and Webb. I'm probably missing those guys. He's going to be, and even Sanchez has got to be, on the periphery. But if he continues this, the numbers keep going up. I look at Sean Manaea, who got a $25 million AAV. Rangers way better than him. And Max Fried got a $27.5 million AAV. So I'm kind of focused on the AAV. He got 8 years. He's going to, if he keeps this up, going to make a lot of money.
One of the guys I was looking at was Carlos.
And they're both lefties,
right? And this is, different pitchers, of course, but like a guy like Carlos Rodon, like he signed that like $160 million deal with the Yankees, and you look at, he got that deal, and he wasn't the most durable guy before.
Had a big walk year. Big walk year with the Giants.
Yes, huge year with the Giants. But before that, the guy was banged up a lot. He had 7 starts one year. I think, the COVID year, maybe like four the next year or whatever. But I'm going, well, somebody paid that guy a crap ton of money, and he was banged up a lot. So
what do you think his AAV would be, Rangers?
I think his AAV would be somewhere between 25 and 28, 25 and 30. Wow. I could see him at 20, the way Boris works, and maybe a shorter deal and get the higher AAV so we can say, hey, he got a bigger AAV than somebody else, because that's what he always wants to make benchmarks. So the benchmark for a guy like Ranger is going to be the AAV, because I don't think anybody's going to give him the length, the 7-year deal, this 8-year deal. I don't think they're going to do that because of the history. And I also think there's just a lot of teams that are going to shy away from the velocity. These people who are running baseball teams in this day and age are not understanding how important it is to be able to pitch as opposed to throw. And so they get lit up by the velocity, and he doesn't have the velocity. So he may lose 10 to 12 to 15 teams just based on that. He also may lose that many teams just based on the overall AAV and the dollars. So I'm thinking somewhere between 25 and 30 on the AAV, and I'm thinking probably a 4 to 5 year deal, maybe 6 at the most. And I think Boris is going to try to push it 6 and 30, and it'll be somewhere between 160 and 185 is what I'm thinking on a total deal.
Yeah, so
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, say that number's out there. So it's hard for me to imagine the Phillies throwing that money out there for Ranger Suárez.
I don't see it.
Yeah, again, we talked about this the other day. Even if he finishes strong, and John Middleton says, Dave, I want you to bring back Ranger Suárez. He pitched great for us down the stretch. Hypothetically, he helped to win a World Series or whatever. Some other team, I think, is going to outbid the Phillies for him. So, in my opinion. But anyway, so Ruben,
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on this week. Phillies got the Padres coming to town. The Reds are going to be in town this weekend, but if you're looking for something else to do, you could always swing by Park Casino.
Yeah, Parks Casino. It is my casino of choice. It's in Bucks County, I-95, the street road exit off of I-95. If you like music like I do, then there is not a better concert place to go to. You can bring your all your buddies. It's a place where you guys can just hang out. You can go grab something to eat prior. You can go to the gastro pub. You can go to Chickies and Pete's. There's all types of things to do there. You can have date nights. You can have all types of things. It's not just a place to go gamble. It's a place to just basically have some fun. Here's a lineup for what's going on as far as the concerts are concerned. Gary Clark is playing. Gary Clark Jr. on July 3rd. That's Thursday. That's this Thursday. Saturday, September 6th. It's UB40, man. That's that brings me back a little bit. Then on September 30th, on September 20th, there's the Australian Pink Floyd show, which Wish You Were Here 50th anniversary. And on Friday, September 26th, the Revitalists. There's so much going on at Parks Casino. Don't forget that it's not just a place to gamble. It's a place to just enjoy yourself, bring your friends, and have some fun. Tickets for all shows at parkscasino.com. And you must be 21. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Bryce Harper, is he back Monday night? Series opener against the Padres. Sounds like he's close. I don't know how much money I would put on it, but I think he could be back on Monday night, possibly. He what did he do? Friday, he took some BP. Saturday, he faced a couple of Phillies minor leaguers at Truist Park.
So the feeling that I got from the folks there in the clubhouse was that there's a very good chance that he could play on Monday. Now, I know that Waldron is pitching. Matt Waldron's pitching. He's a knuckleballer. I'm not sure, frankly, if he wants to start his road back facing a guy who's tossing knuckleballs up there. That's not good for your rhythm. That said, I do think that that he's going to be activated either tonight or tomorrow. And that's going to be a big boost. Even if he's not Bryce Harper, which he probably won't be, I think what you will get is sort of a domino effect of protection in the lineup and depth in the lineup. And anytime you have a superstar like that in there, it will affect the game plan. It will affect a lot of different things that are happening. It'll take some heat off some folks as well. And maybe you get some exhales and let some guys do some damage. Who otherwise might think that they're trying to do too much.
I could see them taking the extra day because sometimes, when a guy is ready to go, you take one more day and just to be safe. But I know it's a knuckleballer. Here's a weird thought for you. When you face a knuckleballer, you swing easy. Perfect time maybe for Bryce Harper to come back. Swing easy.
It's a good thought. Have you ever seen him swing easy? Have you ever seen Bryce Harper swing easy?
Believe it or not, yes. There's a time or two I've seen him swing easy, and I love the results. And, maybe it's a perfect way to come back because take some violence out and, see some pitches and don't stress your elbow. Swing easy, swing easy. He's a strong man. He doesn't have to come out of his shoes every time.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't disagree with that, Jim. It's a good thought process. That's why you're a good baseball man.
And a tomato man.
That's how are the tomatoes looking, Jim?
They actually have had a night, since the storm. I was out there yesterday staking them and tying them up. And
were you brushing them? Were you brushing your
I
Spanking?
spanked them and
spanking?
I did
brushing and spanking.
They're really starting to make their move in the standings.
I like that.
Nice.
I like that. Yeah.
Nice.
But
It's good timing. Got to go this way.
They're going that way.
Okay.
If the Phillies offense could follow your tomatoes, Jim, right? That's the dream.
Maybe if Bryce, it's like, a NASCAR race. They all draft off each other, and Bryce is a good car to draft off.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, can the wrist stay healthy? Like, it seems to be kind of a weird thing where he says he doesn't need surgery, and came back. It bothered him all last year, bothered him into the offseason. And he had this yesterday, I guess Sunday, he talked to a couple of reporters and was asked about, do you think the wrist thing is going to linger or could linger? He says, I don't really know yet. I think it's going to take some time of playing and seeing kind of where I'm at. Being super upfront with you guys, I don't know. As I go, obviously, you guys will know and see what I'm doing. But the thought and the hope is that I don't feel that. So
let me just say one thing. The most fascinating part about this is when he comes back is not just his production, but what's going to happen on the roster and the lineup. Where are they going to go with Otto Kemp? Is Otto Kemp going to left field? And what do they do with Max Kepler? Does he stay on the team?
Mm-hmm.
Does he get designated? Is he a platoon player?
Well, yeah.
I'm fascinated by what they're going to do here because he's had, he's had some good days. He hasn't had great days. I mean, I like Max Kepler. I think he can provide some help to this ball club. But what happens to Max Kepler and Otto Kemp when this guy comes back?
Straight platoon for me.
So you send Buddy Kennedy out and you straight platoon him?
I'd give it a look because
I think that they want Otto Kemp in the lineup every day.
Okay, then, well, if that's the case.
That's why it's so fascinating to me.
If you want him in the lineup every day, then, why is Kepler here?
I've had that.
It is really, really fascinating. I can't wait to see what's happening. I would assume that they'll send Buddy Kennedy out and then decide what they want to do. If they think that they should go with a platoon or to go with Otto Kemp every day in left field. It's an interesting problem. And then you got the kid coming. And what's going to happen when the kid comes from Crawford when he comes to center field? Because that's when you move Marsh to left field, and then you maybe then it's a straight platoon. I don't know. We'll see. It's fascinating.
Max,
I see where letting Kepler go would be discussed and on the table, but I think you can in the short term here take a peek at a platoon and see what happens. But it's interesting.
Max doesn't sound. Max's rhythm, he's talked about. He kind of doubled down in the comments he made to Matt Gelb on Thursday in Houston. He talked to a couple guys on Friday in Atlanta and basically said, "Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can get into a rhythm. I was told I was going to be an everyday player, or I was going to play every day, and it's really tough for me." And so. Man, if they make him,
you got to produce. You just have to produce, especially in this situation. I mean, he's a one-year deal guy. You have to produce, or if you don't produce, it's a production game. I know it's halfway through the season, and he probably could. Maybe he can. Maybe there's still a lot of production in him left. He's got ability, but does he do it for this team? I don't know. It's great. It's fascinating.
And you better start. I mean, if you're Max Kepler. Yeah, you better. If you're only going to play in a straight platoon against right-hand pitch, you better start producing against those guys, because if you don't produce in a platoon this season, you're not going to get an everyday job next season unless you're playing on the Rockies or something like that.
And you're the left-handed hitter in a platoon. 2/3 of the pitching is right-handed. You're going to get a lot of playing time, a lot of chances to make something happen. But if he doesn't start making something happen here in the short term, I think he's going to be another one of their one-year deals that is out the door, like Michael Saunders, like Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, Michael Saunders, Whit Merrifield, both of those guys came to mind. Let's wrap this up. Monday night, Phillies open a 3-game series against the Padres. We met Zach Wheeler, 6:35 start because it's fireworks tonight, I believe. 6:35 start. Zach Wheeler versus Matt Waldron. As we discussed earlier, Matt Waldron is a knuckleballer. It's his season debut. He pulled an oblique in spring training, so he's been slowly working his way back. He held the Phillies to 1 run over 7 innings almost a year ago, June 19th at Citizens Bank Park. So Matt Waldron.
Yes, he did. And veteran guys don't like knuckleballers.
Yep.
Ruben, no likey.
I looked up. I was curious because there's not a lot of knuckleballers thrown today, right? But you faced a couple knuckleballers back. in the
Yeah,
day.
Wakefield. I hit 9 line drives right at the first baseman. That's all I did. Every single at bat, I hit a rocket right at the first baseman for an out. I was like 1 for 1,000 against knuckleball.
You were 0 for 6 against Tim Wakefield, 2 walks. Yep. So and then
4 line drives at the first baseman. I guarantee it.
Tom Candiotti was the
I raked
other.
him. I raked him.
You were 3 for 8. You were 3 for 8 with a
That's
walk
right.
Out against
Charlie
Tom
Huff.
Candiotti.
How about Charlie Huff?
He did not face Ruben.
face
You never
Huff.
faced Charlie Huff. I looked up Steve Sparks was a guy that was throwing knuckleballs back in the day. You never faced him unless it was like a spring training game. But so the challenges, right? I guess of facing a knuckleballer.
Get yourself on top of the plate. If it's high, let it fly. If it's low, let it go. That will never happen because nobody moves in the box anymore. So whatever.
Yeah, so that would be fun. You know, you don't get to
Probably
see
should have hit right-handed against those knuckleballs. I thought about it, but I kept hitting line drives right at somebody. Sucked.
Tuesday night, we've got Christopher Sanchez versus Nicky Pivetta. Tuesday night.
Nicky P, who's having a hell of a year.
Hell of a year. He's leading the league in wins.
He's going to want to try to stick it up the old Phillies tookuses.
Oh,
he's always had good stuff.
He's always had good stuff. He was a guy, you know, I remember well, Ruben, you traded for him. Are you surprised at, or is this kind of what you envisioned? Or when you trade a guy like Papelbon to the Nationals, are you just going, all right, he's got a good arm. Let's hope that, you know, we hit a lottery ticket. I mean, I guess he was better than a
Jesse Levis who really pushed him. Jesse Levis pushed him, and I think maybe Howie Freiley may have seen him as well. But I know Jesse was high on him, and we talked about it, and we said, hey, give it a shot with this arm. Mike Ondo recommended that we make a run there, and he ended up getting a really good arm. He just didn't really pan out for the Phillies, but you know, sometimes it takes a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's and then Wednesday afternoon, the series finale, Mick Abel versus Dylan Cease. So the Padres, they started 14-3, but since then, since April 14th, they're 31-35. So they've been playing under 500 ball for more than a couple months now. So it's a team that, you know, is not hasn't really put it all together. Phillies should
still a challenge though. Still a good team.
Oh yeah.
Man, they have these next several. I mean, this is like a gauntlet for them. It's a real litmus test for how the season's going to go, because I think Dave Dombrowski is going to work off of how these guys play over the next 3 weeks to see, hey, what do we really need, and how can we fortify this team? That's because there's going to be a lot of questions answered, I think, over the next 3 weeks.
What do they really need?
Teams.
Give me
bullpen help, bro.
Bullpen.
Yep, agree. Totally agree.
Bullpen help. I know the offense is sputtering right now, and it's fits and starts, but bullpen.
They need a badass.
2 words, bullpen.
I agree. They get a late inning stud reliever at the, you know, to help out the rest of the guys. And yeah, like we said earlier, you need Harper and Schwarber and Turner and all those guys to produce offensively. So guys, we will be back later this week.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.